Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Om Vishwadharma Vishwadhakacharya Ashvatara Sata Sri Srimad His ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय जय ओम विश्वाचार्य श्री श्रीनाथ श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर प्रेम सिखो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासजी गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंद राधा कुंज गिरी गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की जय भक्ति देवी की जय श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय श्री श्री गौनिताई की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ सुभद्रा बलदेव की जय गौर प्रेमानंदी all glories to the Samalimatis, all glories to the Samalimatis, all glories to the Samalimatis, all glories to Sri Guru Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Nirvishesha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshvabhadre Yam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first Skanda, 16th chapter. Ayam Bhuvaha Mandalam Udaya Adrehe. Sorry. Udaya Adrehe Gopta Eka Viraha Naradeva Nataha Astaya Gaitam Ratam Attatapaha Paryasyat no Paryasyate Dakshinataha Yatha Arkaha Ayam Mandalamodayate Goptai Kaviro Naradevanataha Astaya Jaitam Ratamattachapaha Paryasyate Dakshinato Yatarkaha Ayam Mandalamodayate Goptai Kaviro Naradevanataha Astaya Jaitam Ratamattachapaha Paryasyate Dakshinato Yatarkaha Ayam Mandalamodayadre Goptai Kaviro Naradevanata Astaya Jaitam Ratamata Chapaha Paryasyate Dakshinato Yatarkaha Vaishnavis. I am this king, Bhuvaha of the world, Mandalam, the globe, Udaya Adrehe, on the mountain where the first appearance of the sun is visible. Gupta will protect Eka uniquely, Viraha, powerful, heroic, Naradeva, of all kings, gods in human society, Nataha, the master, Astaya, being situated on Jaitam, victorious, Ratam, his chariot, Attachapaha, holding the bow, Paryasyate, he will circumambulate Dakshinataha from the southern side, Yata, like Arkaha, the sun. Sri Sri Gauri Tai Ki Jai. Sri Radha Madan ki jai. Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev ki jai. Translation. This king, being uniquely powerful and heroic, will have no competitor. He will travel around the globe on his victorious chariot, holding his invincible bow in his hand and appearing exactly like the sun, which rotates in its own orbit from the south. Please repeat. This king, being uniquely powerful and heroic, will have no competitor. He will travel around the globe on his victorious chariot, holding his invincible bow in his hand and appearing exactly like the sun, which rotates in its own orbit from the south. Purport by Zivangre Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Yatarkaha indicates that the sun is not fixed but is rotating in its orbit, which is set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is confirmed in this Brahma Samhita and also in other parts of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the sun rotates in its own orbit at the rate of 16,000 miles per second. Similarly, Brahma Samhita states, Yasya Gyaya Brahmati Sambhutakala Chaktaha. The sun rotates in its own orbit according to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conclusion is that the sun is not fixed in one place. As far as Prithu Maharaj is concerned, it is indicated that his ruling power would extend all over the world. The Himalaya mountains, from which the sunrise is first seen, are called Udayachala or Udayagadri. It is herein indicated that Prithu Maharaj's reign over the world would cover even the Himalaya mountains and extend to the borders of all oceans and seas. In other words, his reign would cover the entire planet. Another significant word in this verse is Naradeva. As described in previous verses, the qualified king, be he King Prithu or any other king who rules over the state or as an ideal king, should be understood to be God in human form. According to Vedic culture, the king is honored as the supreme personality of Godhead because he represents Narayana, who also gives protection to the citizens. He is therefore Nata, or the proprietor. Even Sanatan Goswami gave respect to the Nawab Hussain Shah as Naradeva, although the Nawab was Mohammedan. A king or governmental head must therefore be so competent to rule over the state that the citizens will worship him as God in human form. That is the perfectional stage for the head of any government or state. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Chakshuranjana Ete Tanyamano Vandeham Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagadatam Sahaganam Raghunatam Vitam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Haritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri He Krishna Karuna Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Radha Radhe Vrindavanaswati Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Vanta Kalpadurvasya Vipasya Patitanam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Gaura Bhatta Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Rama Sukha number 20 describes the glorification of King Prithu by the Sutras and Magadhas who were assembled there just after the coronation of the king. On the advice of the Brahmanas and other rishis present, and other demigods also were equally present, this glorification has been continued, and Prithu Maharaj has been accepted as the ideal ruler for the complete world, this universe, or at least the Earth planet. But here he is glorified just like the sun. The sun is not just one single planet, but is exercising its influence throughout the universe. So, in one sense, also, King Prithu will exercise its influence throughout the universe. He has been compared to other demigods also, just like Indra or Varuna. And is, in one sense, he is more than all the demigods because he is the Shaktiyavesha avatar of the Lord. Though not Naran Tattva, he is Jiva Tattva, but endowed with very extraordinary power by the grace of the Supreme Lord to exercise the ruling power over the universe. So in this way, the Shaktiyavesha avatar display extraordinary power by the grace of the Lord. Just like Narada Muni, he can also travel through space. He can also go to Vaikuntha if he wants. He has free access everywhere, but not for ruling power, but to teach people Krishna consciousness. So in this way, different living entities may be empowered. We were talking also Srila Prabhupada being empowered with the ability to preach Krishna consciousness for the world. Once one disciple asked from Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, where are you going in your next life? Maybe that disciple was very much eager to accompany Prabhupada in his next voyage. And Srila Prabhupada answered to this very confidential question, and he gave a confidential answer. He said, my next destination is the hellish planet. I'm going to preach Krishna consciousness in the hellish planet. That is Prabhupada's mission. and complete dedication, completely empowered by the Supreme Lord to preach Lord Krishna glories everywhere in the world. It may be easy to preach in heaven because the conditions are very beautiful. There is no problem, and everybody is already attuned to Krishna Bhakti. But in the hellish planet, only asuras are there, and the conditions are very horrible. But Srila Prabhupada is, uh, does not mind going there with great enthusiasm. He is preaching everywhere. So here, Ritu Maharaj is also ruling the entire world without any difficulty by the grace of the Lord. He is traveling on a chariot, just like Arjuna and other great Kshatriyas. They travel by chariot drawn by very excellent horses and armed with the uh, invisible weapons, just like Arjuna had very good bow, arrows gifted by demigods. I think his chariot is a gift of Varuna, if I'm not wrong, and his arrows, gift of Indra, if I remember correctly. Anyway, at the Battle of Kurukshetra, Arjuna will decimate, he will kill so many other warriors because of this powerful weapon. He will not be defeated there. So King Prithu had invincible paraphernalia by the grace of the Lord. And he has been compared to the sun. The sun is also rotating in its own orbit, and he diffuses energy throughout the world. The sun may be very far away, many millions of miles far away from the Earth planet or from many other planets. He is very, very far. But the energy of the sun is felt throughout the universe. So this is how is it possible? From the beginning of the world, the sun has been radiating this energy, extraordinary energy, and it will do so up to the end of the universe. How is it possible uh, that one single planet can diffuse so much energy for so much time? It looks like impossible. But the material scientists cannot understand how is it possible for the sun to radiate this energy. But for the devotees of the Lord, they understand that this energy is coming from the Supreme Lord. It is just a fragmental portion of the Brahman, the effulgence coming from the body of the Supreme Lord. So it is not extraordinary. It is the energy of the Supreme Lord is infinite, and he is only giving a small portion of it to the Sun God to illuminate the entire universe. So Srila Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita, and I want you to read Brahma Samhita Sloka. Yachakshuresha Savita Sakalagrahanam Raja Samasta Suramurti Rasesha Tejaha Yasya Gyaya Brahmati Sambritakara Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The sun, who is the king of all planets, full of infinite effulgence, the image of the good soul, is as is I is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order the sun performs his journey, mounting the wheel of time. In the purport, the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj writes, certain professors of the Vedic religion worship the sun as Brahman. The sun is worshipped by the so those who are this Panchartana, the sun, Ganesh, and Durga, Lord Vishnu. In this way, they are worshipping Lord Shiva also. So one of the five demigods or gods worshipped by the followers of Shankaracharya. The sun is one of the hierarchy of the five gods. Some people target in heat, the source of this world, and therefore designate the sun the only location of heat as the root cause of this world. Here there is some explanation from the material viewpoint that heat is the source of creation. And because the sun is radiating heat for the universe, therefore, the sun must be the origin of the creation. But this is not the complete view. Even it may be correct to say that the heat produces many things. That is our common observation. But we cannot say that the sun is the original creator. But the material scientists would like to believe that from the sun, everything emanates. Matta sarvam pravartate. Lord Krishna. From me, everything emanates, not from the sun. The sun is also an emanation from the Lord. Notwithstanding at that may be said to the contrary. The sun is, after all, only the presiding deity of a sphere of the sum total of all mundane heat, and is hence a good exercising delegated authority. The sun performs his specific function of service, certainly by the command of Govinda. So this was the explanation of that contradicts the opinion of the material scientists. Srila Prabhupada wanted that some of these scientists, disciples, those who have studied science and later on have joined the Hare Krishna movement, they should join the Bhaktivedanta Institute in order to show to the scientists of the world and to the materialistic people that Vedic science is much more advanced than the so-called modern science. Modern science is extremely limited in its viewpoint. Just like the astronomers, they will have some instruments, telescope, microscope, to analyze the greater universe or to analyze the molecules at the infinitesimal level. But by using a telescope, what can they see? The eye is already defective. And the telescope is an extension of the eye. So it is only an extension of the defective vision of the materialistic observer. The common observer is limited. Similarly, whatever he may invent, any source of observation he may try to develop, that will be also limited, partial, and defective. So the telescopes are certainly defective. One telescope is here in Hyderabad, installed many years ago, maybe 100 years ago. It's situated somewhere in Panjagutta. And sometimes the students are going there to see other planets in the universe. Similarly, there's also observatory next to the Birla Temple. Everybody knows the Birla Temple, established by Mr. Birla in 1976, January, just before this temple was opened. There is a worship of Lord Venkateshwar Swami, the top of the hill, very beautifully situated. We had gone there also at that time for inauguration of this beautiful temple. So we had the opportunity to associate with other members of the Birla family. And so next to this temple, famous as Birla Temple, Venkateshwar Swami Temple, there is a science museum. And very strangely, although Venkateshwar Swami is established as the ruler of the entire world, as the ultimate object of our worship, but in the Science Museum, they are simply presenting uh, this uh, theory of evolution, that man is coming from lower species, including monkeys and so on. Gradually, man is evolving. This demonstration is given at the Birla Science Museum. That was also established by the same Birla family. I cannot understand, and but it is going on. Uh, and the many schools and colleges from Hyderabad and outside, they go as a pilgrimage. Sometimes they go to Venkateshwar Swami, first of all, then they go to the Science Museum. What can they learn from the Science Museum? Simply nonsense, that we are evolving from monkeys. So once there was a conference in this Science Museum, and the subject matter was the uh, cosmogony of the universe, cosmology or cosmogony of the universe. And the manager of the Science Museum had invited all important scientists, which are specialists of the cosmogony of the universe. So they had all come there, and we came to know this conference was going to happen. So immediately we contacted Bhaktivedanta Institute, and Sadaputta Prabhu agreed to come. It was sometime in the 1980s, and we were so happy. Sadaputta Prabhu, he is coming, and he was also invited to speak on the occasion of this conference. And other speakers, they spoke something about the constitution of the universe, how the universe has formed. There was a big bang at the beginning, and gradually, different atoms and molecules combined together, and then the first biomolecule was formed after many millions of years, and then gradually different biomolecules came together, and then the first living entity, very small fish, started to swim in the ocean, and so on. Gradually, the reptiles and birds and all that, all different species of life came into existence. So they spoke about all this subject matter, all the different planets are gradually evolving from the sun, from that big bang. There is an expansion of the universe, many millions of miles per hour, and different planets are coming into existence and so on. At some time in the history, the Earth planet also came into existence and so on. All the talks were going on, all species were going on, and everybody was hearing, no, oh, wonderful lectures. Then the last speaker, because the manager actually did not know anything about uh, Sariputta Prabhu. I had told him he's a very learned, no, he's a PhD, no, from America, very, very learning, very, all right. But actually, he did not know Sariputta Prabhu. So, last speaker, Sariputta Prabhu. And I can tell you, it is his speech, but I've not seen afterwards any recorded. Um, I don't know if any record was made, but his speech was spellbinding. He completely smashed all the theories and all the beautiful speeches of the earlier speakers and established the Vedic evidence for the Vedic cosmogony or Vedic cosmology of the universe, taking examples from the fifth canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, and uh, his speech was so interesting. All the speakers were present there. They're not ordinary people. They were completely stunned, and they were wondering, how he's a foreigner, he's a young boy, and he's from some religious organization. How does he know all these things? But they could not contradict him. They accepted. Oh, oh. And they applauded after his speech. He got he got ovation. Actually, all the um, praise actually uh, should be given to the disciple who has taken up the mission of Srila Prabhupada. This is exactly what Srila Prabhupada wanted. He wanted that all these so-called scientists who claim to know everything, they should be defeated by the Vedic evidence. And he gave order, instructions to Sripad Maharaj, Bhakti Swabdhamara Swami, to organize this society, BI, and to organize international conferences where these topics could be discussed in, in the presence of all these Nobel Prize laureates and all. So that was exactly what Sri Prabhupada wanted. Sariputta also spoke in Bombay at the International Conference on the Synthesis of Science and Religion, and his speech was also spellbinding. So now, unfortunately, is no more, unfortunately. But his books are there, and I wish that those who are learned in the subject matter, they should study the book of the Bhaktivedanta Institute and specifically also Sariputta Prabhu's, so that what Prabhupada wanted is that the Vedic cosmology should be accepted everywhere. This is a scientific presentation of the universe. Prabhupada also uh, gave this idea when the Mayapur headquarters was going to be constructed. He made a design, and for the design, he called for the specialists in the field of astronomy and Vedic astronomy. And so they gave advice how to make a design for the Temple of Understanding, Vedic planetarium. Prabhupada wanted that the universe should be seen. All those who come to Mayapur, they should see how the universe is constructed according to a Vedic vision, not according to the material science, so-called material astrology. That should not. That, so that is what Prabhupada wanted. Prabhupada was so specific about that this temple of understanding. Understanding what? Those who come to the temple, they are not expected to see the universe. Nobody is expected that. When you come to the temple to see the deity, but here in Mayapur, they'll see first of all, oh, what is this? Oh, what is this here? It looks like a universe. Oh, the sun is there, all the planets are rotating. Oh, Dhuvaloka is there. Like that, they will have idea. And the idea was given just like a chandelier. You see the chandelier, is the top is fixed. And if there's some wind, you can rotate the chandelier. Chandelier appears to be constituted of many different parts, huh? Many pieces of glass, just like the planet. But the top is fixed. So Dhruvaluka is fixed at the top of the universe. And all the other planets, including the sun, and all the planets rotate in a very orderly fashion. Yasyagyaya Brahmati Sambhutakala according to the order of Govinda. So this is what Prabhupada wanted, that anyone who comes to the Mayapur should not have any uh, wrong idea about the position of the universe. They should see clearly that Lord Krishna is the ultimate creator and maintainer, destroyer of the universe, and everything is running according to his order. That is the idea. So, from the scientific viewpoint, we have to defeat the material scientists. Their knowledge is very limited and biased, and we have to put forward the Vedic evidence. So this is here the Yasyagyaya Brahmati Sambhutakala Chakra. The sun is not fixed. Many of these astronomers, they would think that the sun is fixed and all other planets are rotating. The sun is the center of the universe and so on. There are so many different theories of the universe. One after another theory is coming. Now with the theory of relativity, another type of theory has come. Uh, so uh, every now and then, new theories are coming up. And those who are studying in schools and colleges, they have to study uh, this theory, that theory, this one, and they become completely bewildered. Which theory is correct? And how to make sure that this theory now, which appears to be just 10 years ago, and what will happen after 10 or 20 years, a new theory will come. So what is the use of going to school? The students are being frustrated, learning all this temporary knowledge only. They should learn the Vedic version that is as old as the world. Lord Krishna spoke to Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma spoke the Brahma Samhita. So that is the knowledge the students have to learn. And this is what we have to teach. This is what Srila Prabhupada wanted by establishing Bhaktivedanta Institute, to teach the real science to those who are interested to know. So Prithu Maharaj is just like the sun, and he is traveling on his chariot undefeated because of the power he has received from the Lord for that purpose. But he is not exhibiting his power for his own motivation. He is doing so for the protection of the citizens who consider him as the father of the nation, of the father of the universe. So Naradeva is, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, Naradeva means a god amongst human beings. Human beings are not God, but sometimes they take the position of God. So, by God's arrangement, these Kshatriyas, who are ideal rulers, they take the position of Lord Narayana. Lord Narayana is the protector of the universe. That is the original position. But Narayana delegates and gives special power to some specific living entities who become empowered to rule, and so they become Naradeva, empowered living human being just like God. So Naradeva is the ideal ruler. Prabhupada mentions that uh, Sanatan Goswami gave respect to the Nawab Husan Shah in West Bengal, where he was one of the ministers of the Nawab, and he considered him also as Naradev because he was doing good for the public. And how can he be accepted by the public at large? He is, after all, another human being. We are human beings. He is also a human being. How, how can he be the ultimate authority or ruler in his kingdom? This is accepted only if we consider him as Naradeva, having the power given by God to rule the kingdom. Otherwise, if he is equal to everybody, then there cannot be any Naradeva, no ruler. This is happening in the modern democracy. The royalty has been abolished. The monarchy in the earlier times were monarchy of divine right. Why should somebody amongst all human beings be considered to be the ruler unless he is specially appointed or blessed by the Supreme Lord to do so? Therefore, this is monarchy of divine right. And all the monarchs up to the present day have been enthroned by the religious, the Brahmanas of the Catholic Church or the other churches. They have enthroned the king traditionally because it is necessary for the king to have the God's sanction. Otherwise, he cannot rule. He cannot be Naradeva. He is Naradeva only with the blessings of God. So that was accepted earlier. But now in the present day, um, godless democracy, there is no question of Naradeva. And somehow they are coming together, they are elected and form some assemblies. Assembly will elect some leader and so on. So this is going on like that. But the earlier monarchies are not present anymore practically because of the godless age of Kali. So anyway, the Prithu Maharaj is the ideal king, as powerful as the sun, always traveling throughout and serving the universe or the Earth planet and protecting all the inhabitants. Any other questions or comments?
Uh, and at the end of the speech, he asked any questions. asked, you said the creation is given and evaluated up to till present time. The origin of this universe and creation is not and Big Bang theory discussing. Of course, we accept all this, but where did this initial and he told from where I asked, and he got, and I gave the reference from Brahma Summit. All these creation, these galaxies, crores and crores. Mahavishnu, it has been here you can see, and also another reference regarding this modern education failure can be established as a reference given by Unani Ayurvedic, Unani medical system, that they follow Aristotelian philosophy, which is based on Earth is flat and the moon and above all that is round. So that this ether is present there only, not on in this situation. But basing on this Aristotelian philosophy only, this modern education evaluated, and it explains in each and every atom 0.59 space is existing. So, what these Unani people could give for this change of their theory, they have to think of. Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai.